Hello, my name is Mooncat, and in this video I will go over a bunch of tips and tricks for how to complete event quests as well as normal quests as quickly and easily as possible. This video I will go over this very long list that I made with a bunch of different quests. Now these quests, these are based on the last couple of events, so I do think it's quite complete, but there might be some less normal quests that I have missed. But if I have, please leave that in the comments. And as well, if you have any tips that I don't go over in this video, please leave those in the comments as well, and I'll be able to update this spreadsheet with new tips as they come in. So as you can see, this is quite long. It is linked in the description. But because it's so long, this will probably be quite a long video. So please use the timestamps in the description or in the YouTube play bar. You'll be able to skip ahead to the sections you are interested in. Alright, I think without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. Let's start with the first two quests here, pay supplies and pay coins. Now these quests, there's not a lot to say about it. You simply have to make sure that you have enough resources before the event. So for me, that is no problem. As you can see, I have plenty of coins and supplies to use. But if you don't have, then you really should start saving up some resources before the event. I know I'm releasing this the day before, so you might not have that long time to plan for this event, but in general, for other events, plan ahead, save up resources before the event starts. I'll get back into some tips on how to gather resources as well. So, the next to gather coins and supplies, there are a lot of ways to go about it. So first of all, you have your daily collection. Mine is coming up quite soon. So if you want to time that with the quests, you could use those for quests. That's very easy. But perhaps the easiest or simplest way to do it, at least if you have the resources, is to build and then sell buildings. When you sell a building, you get the resources. So if I just get rid of this for a minute, so if I place this, for example, I don't have to build it or anything. I can then sell it again, and I will get hundreds. Yeah, I'll get some resources back, and those will count towards the gather coin and supply quests. So this is a very easy and quick way to gather resources. In terms of which buildings to use, when you want to gather supplies, the houses will be the most efficient in terms of not wasting a lot of coins while gathering supplies. Likewise, the production buildings will give most coins compared to the number of supplies you waste. But in general, the cultural buildings, at least in higher ages, tends to be the most expensive, which also means you get the most in return. So cultural buildings will probably be the quickest, but you will be wasting some more resources than needed. So up to you what you prefer to do. Now there are plenty of other ways as well to gather resources or coins and supplies. One is to use quests, so either recurring quests like this. You can see that I have some, and these you can prepare, for example, for the event. It depends on how active you are with doing quests. You can also use side quests or story quests if you have any of those. Sometimes you might be able to get some from Daily Challenge, although you probably don't want to pick that choice. You also have Guild Expedition. You'll be able to gather resources here. Usually not a lot compared to your age, but you'll be able to collect some. You will also be able to collect some from quests in the settlements. Not right now for me, but sometimes you'll also be able to get coins or supplies there. So that is worth keeping in mind. And then also, during the event, you can spend, or the rewards you get from the event, they usually also give you some coins or supplies every now and then. So if the daily special you want is active, then you could wait with using or spending your currency until that quest is active, and you might be able to complete it by collecting coins and supplies this way. Although, as I'll get back to a little bit later, this will also work for military units, for example, so I would probably save it for that. Alright, let's move on to the next one, which is gathering goods. Here again, plenty of ways to go about it. Again, you can use your daily collection. You will have plenty of buildings that will give you goods. If you are like me, quite advanced, you will have plenty of event buildings. If you are a newer player, you might have some goods buildings you can use. Great buildings are usually quite good, those that do produce goods. The other classic way is to simply go to the market. First thing I try to do when I see this is I simply go to the market. Are there any any trades available, and I pick up those. Another way to do it is if, like us, with our guild, you might have, what you can do is set up a cycle trade thread where guildmates can post the cycle trades. Or if you don't want a separate thread, you can use the normal trade thread for it. And if you don't know what a cycle trade is, it's very simple. You simply put up 2 trades that are the reverse. So here I ask for iron in return for jewelry. Then I do the reverse. And then I go back to the thread. I post both of these in the thread. So that way a guild member can come around, pick up both of these trades. You don't lose any goods, they don't lose any goods, but in return you have gathered, in this case, 1,000 goods. Now, if you don't want to do that with a guild, here you can see they were taken immediately, but you might have a friend or a guildmate, you might want to do it directly with them. That's up to you, and then you can just post them directly in the chat, private chat with that player. Alright, there are plenty of other ways as well. You also have guild expedition. Here you will get some from quests every now and then, or encounters every now and then. If you have Templar relics, you'll get some from relics there. You also have guild battlegrounds, quite a good way to get goods. You have the PvP arena. Again, you could use the event, you can get some there. And again, quests, recurring quests, side quests, story quests, bonus quests. You also have settlements. Here, for example, in this settlement, you get 75 goods after completing 6 quests there. You also get some here every now and then, I believe. So yeah, there really are a lot of ways to get goods. And if you are in a guild, trading is free, so it really shouldn't be hard to gather goods. Now, the next one on the list is donating goods. And here, not really a lot to say. Here you simply have to have the resources before the event, and this again comes back to planning. You want to make sure that you have some goods to either to donate or trade with and so on. Now if this asks for current or previous age, then you need to make sure you have enough of that. But if you don't have that, I would try to talk to some of your guild mates. Some of them should have some resources they can either borrow, lend you, or sell you, or simply give you. Because yeah, you are giving it to the guild treasury after all, so yeah, ask some of your high guild members. But yeah, just make sure you have some goods, and also for some of these you don't have to care about your age or the age of the goods. So in those cases, if you have a bunch of Iron Age goods laying around, it's nice keeping your hand on some of them and using those for quests like this. Now, recently they've also started doing quests where you have to pay either some current or previous age goods, and it's the same story here. Make sure you have resources. If you don't have them, try asking some of your guildmates or friends if they can sell, lend, or give you some of these goods. Spending forge points. There are a lot of ways to spend forge points, so let's jump back into the game. First of all, if, unlike me, you haven't completed technologies, this is a nice way to spend some quick forge points. Also, you can spend them on your own great buildings. That's a nice way. I've been doing that recently because it's very easy and I have completed all my quests, all my technologies. So when I need to, I simply dump some into my arc. It's a long way away from being secured, so I don't have to worry about that. I can simply add when I need to. And then I worry about leveling it when it gets closer to that. Now, in addition to your own buildings, you have your guild mates. You can do regular swaps, 1.9 for example. You can set up some private arrangements with either your friends or guildmates. So say for example me and Bincy here, we arranged it so that I would add to his arc over the event, he would add to mine. We wouldn't secure it, but whenever we needed to, we would simply add to the other player's great building. Both of these are a long way away from being snipeable. So when we both agree to it, the owner would secure it, we would add the remaining for 1.9 and then level it like normal. So yeah. Another way you can spend your forge points is to snipe some buildings. That's a nice way to do it. So yeah. There are a lot of ways here to do it as well. And same when it comes to contributing to a great building. I kind of went over that already. A lot of ways to do it. 1.9 thread, swap threads, sniping, agreeing with making arrangements with friends, and so on. Buying forge points here, there are two parts of this. First of all, if like me, you tend to not be too active or tend to be quite busy, during the day you might have a lot of resources or forge points in your bar. That makes it difficult to sell. So if you do, then you have to find a way to dump the forge points. But after you've done that, no, you simply buy. So here again, down to planning, you need to make sure that you have enough resources to buy forge points. You can see that I have plenty. I can buy 15,000 forge points if I want to. But I would have at least the possibility to buy at least 100. That's a very low limit for me. So I would definitely save your resources. If you buy forge points regularly, always leave a buffer, always leave enough forge points so that when you need to, you can buy forge points for the quests. And if you are in a lower age, I would tend to not buy forge points unless you need to for quests, because you probably won't be able to sustain buying a lot of forge points in addition to the quests, at least early on in the early days. So yeah, down to planning, make sure you have enough coins. And actually, there's thinking about it, there is something, I'll get back to it later on, never mind. Anyways, moving on to collecting incidents. Now this one is at the same time easier and harder on on your browser. If you're on your browser, if you have Foe Helper installed, it will show you which incidents you have available at the moment and how long they last for. This is very nice. Helps you figure out where your incidents are. So here you can see I have 2 here, for example, but I also have 3 in my city. Now collecting them in your city on on your browser is notoriously difficult, at least if you have a lot of tall buildings like me. Let's see if I can find any. I don't think I'm able to find any. I did see some earlier on, but they've moved since then. Anyways, what you can do if you are on browser only, what you can do is that you can find a clear and open stretch of road, and for me this area here is easiest to see. So what I can do is that I can exit my city or visit another city and then come back, and all the incidents will have refreshed their position. So if I just keep on doing this, eventually I might be able to see some. There we go. There, I found some. This wasn't here earlier on, but now it is. This isn't here, so that's the way you can do it. You can visit a friend or visit another city, come back, and there you can see this has now changed position, and now I was able to find that. So find an open space in your city and do that. Now, if you also have a phone available, there is a much simpler trick you can do there, where you simply pick up a large building, trash for example, and you simply drag it around in your city, and all the incidents you drag it over will be collected automatically. This is the easiest way. So if you're not on, so if you have the ability to go on on mobile, sorry, I would probably do that. But yeah, the browser method I showed, it works fine as well. So let's pick that up, why not? Some supplies. Hey, there's another way to get some supplies, but don't count on this for supplies. All right, let's move on to these. Build. There are a lot of quests that ask you to build all the different kinds of buildings. Let's go over them in turn. So, residential buildings. Here, all you need to do actually basically is to have some free open space in your city, and I recommend that for a lot of quests because, yeah, as you saw earlier on, in order to gather coins, for example, I needed some open space. To build buildings, I need some open space, so it really helps having some open space in your city. If one way to get this is, for example, if you have some military buildings, usually or normally, you could sell those temporarily for the room, place down or complete the quest, and then rebuild those military buildings. That's a way you can do it. Another way, if you have supply buildings, or if, like me, you are in high age where you rely on blacksmiths, you can temporarily remove these. So if I removed these four, for example, I would have enough room to place this. I can place it and then rebuild the blacksmiths afterwards. They only take 20 minutes, usually fine to do it that way. Alternatively, if you really need the space, you could use a store kit on one of your bigger buildings. So, for example, the airship, the covered bridge, one of these, for example. They are quite big, so if you store those temporarily or permanently, because for me, for example, I am getting rid of this eventually, so I might decide to do that when I need room for a quest. So yeah, store building and then replace if you want to. Let's see, and then there is also for residential buildings and goods buildings, if you are in space age Mars or above, you can use these. So either the residential buildings or the goods buildings in the colony will work towards those quests. I don't think these count as cultural buildings, but I haven't really tried. I don't think these count as cultural buildings. But yeah, these count as goods and these as regular residential buildings, so I can use those. When it comes to decorations, they are usually very simple to place. You can just pick a small one. If you don't need any current age decoration, you just use a bunch of trees, very easy to fit into your city. And if you don't have any space at all in your city, then simply temporarily remove a road or two and place down decorations and then rebuild the roads afterwards. That's easy enough to do. Yeah, in higher ages, for example, space age Venus, you only have 2x2 buildings, but that's usually not a problem either. You can remove some roads, reshuffle some buildings if you absolutely need to, and you will be able to get a 2x2 space. So yeah. I think that's all of the build quests, so let's go back to the list. Next one is gain happiness. Alright, so here there are a couple of ways to do it. First of all, you can use decorations. That's the main way I do it. Now, I don't have to care about resources, so I just use this, the traffic sign. As you can see, each of these costs a million, but for me, that's no problem at all. If you are in a lower age, one of the lower ages, the memorial in the Stone Age is actually really good. It gives a lot for the size. So yeah, for the first couple of ages, that's all bronze still, but let's see. Late Middle Ages, for example, all of these give less. This gives more, okay. But it also costs, I don't know, 10,000 times more. So yeah, if you're in, let's say, one of the first 4 or 5 ages, the memorial is a great building to use. Alternatively, you could sell your a Gate of the Sun Gods, or you can place the Gate of the Sun Gods or your rock faces, I forget what they're called. You could use those, although that's probably not, I wouldn't do that anymore. That was a tip from a long time ago, but since the introduction of the antiques dealer, it's probably best to just sell them instead of using them there. But yeah, that's a way you can do it. You can also either place event buildings or renovate event buildings. Most event buildings will give some happiness, perhaps not all, but a lot of event buildings will give some happiness. This, for example, so renovating this would increase the amount of happiness it gives. Alternatively, I could either store and place it if I have enough store kits to waste, or if I hadn't built it yet, I could build it during one of those quests, and I'll get that happiness during that time. Now, another way you can do it is that you can use roads, and good way to do it, which I can't really do in my city because all of these are up to date, I believe. One way you can do it is that when you upgrade your roads from one age to the next, or when you upgrade, make sure to do it during those quests and do it one age at a time. This is if you have the resources to spare, because if you go, let's go all the way back. So let's say you have this road here. In order to get a lot of happiness from it, you could first upgrade it here to gravel, then cobbled, and for each of these steps you gain happiness that will help towards the quest. And yeah, especially for high rages, you get a lot for each of these. So it's a really simple way to get a lot of happiness. All right, are there other ways? I think that's all. Probably some more ways, but yeah, one more way you could do it if you have enough planning is that you can use a simple culture building, place that the day before, and then make sure that it completes as you have the quest active. I have never done this myself, but I don't know. You might be able to use it successfully if you plan ahead for it. But yeah, I personally used decorations. All right, let's move on to making your people enthusiastic. This again, you simply have to get enough diplomacy. Roads is a great way to do it. Making sure that all your event buildings are up to date. Motivating them, for example, motivate all might help a lot. If you are very low, me for example, I have plenty. If I'm able to, there we go. I have plenty of happiness. I have 5,000 additional happiness, so I have no issue here. I've never really had any issues here. So I don't really have any tricks other than get enough happiness, which you can get from various sources I've mentioned. Alternatively, you could also, I believe, I have never tested this, but I'm pretty sure that you can use these as well for this quests. Though please correct me if I'm wrong here, because as I said, I've never had the need to myself, but I don't see why these wouldn't work. All right, now let's move on to gaining population. Here again, it's kind of the same story as for gathering resources or building buildings. If you have an open space in your city, simply build, usually military buildings are the best, simply build these. Now I need to delete these rows first. So yeah, simply build one of these, there we go, and then sell it, and you will gain a lot of population. So in this case, I will gain 19,000 population. So yeah, this is a very easy way. You could also do it with production buildings, goods buildings. Very easy to build and sell, and again, depends on how many resources you have. But usually the military buildings will give you the most population, so these are the best ones to use in this case. Another way to do it, again, you can either build or level up or age up your event buildings. They usually give a lot. You could, if you are in one of the lower ages, you could use the, you could use the hut, for example, or the stilt house. The stilt house only takes 10 seconds, will give you 22 population. This will work in the earlier ages, but as you get past all the earlier ages, this is simply too slow. Another way to do it is if you have some population great buildings, you can level those up. you might be able to do if you plan to level up one of these buildings, try to match it or time it to one of these quests. Then yeah, moving on. Defeating army and solving negotiation. I won't really go into into this a lot because yeah, that's probably separate videos in and of themselves. But for defeating army, if you struggle fighting manually should be easier. Choosing the right units, and yeah, I know that's perhaps not the most useful answer if you don't know really how to fight yet. But yeah, that's probably a separate video. I don't really want to go through that here. It's only we're only halfway through, and it's all already been 25 minutes. And yeah, so you general fighting tactics, and I'll get a little bit back into where you can find fights. As for solving negotiations, it really helps being on your browser. There you'll be able to use the FOE helper for negotiations. Although, quick spoiler, I haven't been able to get FOE helper to work on mobile, roughly speaking. So keep an eye out for that. I might make a video on that. But shh. Alright, so yeah, if you have the negotiation helper, that really helps a lot. But if not, just make sure that you have enough goods, previous and current age goods to complete any negotiations you might have to make. Because there are quite a few that either require you to defeat an army or solve a negotiation. So it really helps if you either are able to fight those fights or if you have enough resources to negotiate. Alright, recruiting units. Here, this is one that I wouldn't say is hard, but this is one that it might be a bottleneck for some. So let's go over all the different ways you can do it. So first of all, you have military buildings, and if you don't have to recruit a specific age or unit from a specific age, the Spear Fighter is a really good building. Really quick to build and quick to produce units. But if not, if it requires current or previous age units, which they often do, then you have to use a current or previous age barrack. Now it really helps if you have an Alcatraz, and if you time that to these quests. That's very simple. You simply collect when you have to for the quest. And if you are leveling up your Alcatraz, you could do that at the same time. So there might be multiple quests that require you to produce units. So if you collect it once for one of those quests and then level it up and collect again for the next quest, that's a nice way to do it. You also have Guild Expedition, quite easy. You can get some from some of these quests. Every fourth or the third quest in each of these will give you a current age unit. So that helps a lot. In level 1, you get 1 unit each. In level 2, you get 2 units each. In level 3, you get 3 units each. So you're able to pick up quite a bit from the Guild Expedition. That's a very nice way to do it. Also, there are some buildings, the Town Hall, for example, with emissaries. You also have, if I can find them, you have the Governor's Villa, for example. You also have the bathhouse. There we go, there is the bathhouse. I just reorganized my city, so still not familiar. Then you also have Guild Battlegrounds. That's a nice way to get units. You have the PvP arena, pretty sure you get units there as well. And as I mentioned earlier, you also have event rewards. So some of them has a chance of giving a unit. So that could be a nice way to pick up those units if you can't use any of the other methods. But yeah, that does depend on if you have the correct or if the correct daily special is active, because you don't really want to waste your currency when that is not active. Alright, and then you also have some side and story quests. I'm past that, so I can't use that, but if you are in a lower age, you might want to save some of those quests or wait with picking up the reward from those quests until the quest is active, where you need to recruit units. Lastly, you can also sometimes pick up some units here from the antique dealer, so you might want to do that as well. Alright, I think that's about all ways to gather units. Let's move back here. Alright, defeating units. Here again, or here, you have to do battles, as simple as that. And one easy way to do it is to find an easy battle. Let me go back here. So let's say I do... okay, this is a very good example. So 2-wave battles are really good for this. You simply choose your units, you auto-battle through the first wave, and then you retreat. This is a very easy way to defeat units. Alternatively, if it's a 1-wave battle, you can fight manually. And then it's quite tedious, but then you need to take out as many as possible. So take out 7 units. Let's just pretend that I've taken 7 units now, and then you surrender and repeat. So that's very easy to do. So yeah, simply find a fight, find an easy one, and you can easily defeat units that way. Now let's talk about where you can find fights to do, because there are a lot of ways you can fight. Alright, let's try to go through these as quickly as possible. You have guild versus guild, you have guild battlegrounds, you have GE, you have the PvP arena, you have your neighbors, you can fight those if you want. You have the continent map, either if you are in Space Age Mars or higher, you can use the excavation sites. If you haven't completed all the maps, for example, here on my Diamond World, I can find fights here. Then you also have some story and side quests ask you to fight. If you are in Space Age Asteroid Belt or higher, you also have recurring quests that ask you to fight. If you, going back to GVG for example, if for example you are next to a friendly guild, you might want to set up some dummy sectors or some swap sectors where you siege each other, and when you need to defeat some units or win some battles, you do that there. But that requires cooperation, and that area is inactive and so on. But yeah, I think I've gone over all there, so plenty of ways to do fights. You shouldn't have any problem finding a simple way to fight. And with the introduction of PvP Arena as well, very easy to fight there. Yeah, you simply have a lot of ways to fight. Alright, the next one is win battles. I don't really have to go over that. Simply find some battles, as I just went over, and win them. And again here, you have to use general fighting tactics. That's a separate video, as I mentioned. Alright, motivating buildings, or aiding buildings. Here, there are a couple of things you need to do. First of all, it helps having a full friend list. It also helps having active friends, so regularly removing inactive friends, that helps. You also have guild members, of course. You do have neighbors who can aid or motivate them, although I would save them for last, because you might want to fight them as well. But you can, of course, aid these as well, so that's a lot of different ways to aid or motivate. If you are on a new world, if you have a quite new account, and if you're not settled yet, you can also do what's called guild hopping, where you simply join an open guild, you motivate or aid all the members, and then you leave the guild and join another open guild and do the same there. Aid all of them, leave, join a new guild. That's a nice way to produce coins as well early on, but yeah, once you are settled, you don't really want to do that anymore. Alright, are there any other ways that I didn't mention? If you, here again, planning is important. So if you know that a quest is coming up that requires you to either motivate or aid, then you want to make sure that you don't aid before that quest is active. So on the day where either I rush the quests, or if I know that one of these quests is coming up, I wait with aiding until those come up. So again, planning really helps for a lot of these. So yeah. Let's see. I think that's all here. Yeah, okay. Visiting taverns, again, much of the same story. You want to have an active friend list. You want to make sure that they clear out their taverns quite regularly. And yeah, in general, again, you don't want to visit taverns before the quest is active. So on that day, wait until you have that quest before you visit taverns. That really helps. Okay, and yeah, again, remove inactive friends and so on. Spending Tavern Silver is the next one. So yeah, spending Tavern Silver and collecting Tavern Silver. Here you want to plan ahead. So I probably should collect, I think I will collect now, but you want to wait on the day itself. You want to wait until the quest is active before you collect. But now I think I have enough time before the event starts that it will fill up again. So nice to collect as frequently as possible, even though I'm not great at that. Anyways, collecting Tavern Silver. You simply again need to have an active friend list that visits you often. And yeah, timing, planning, wait until the quest is active. Now, one thing you can do if you have, which one is it? It's the tablecloth, I believe. No, it's the floor, I think. Yeah, so if you have upgraded floor, whenever you visit a friend, visit a tavern, you have a chance of getting some, there you go, getting some tavern silver. And that might help quite a bit. If you are low, if you don't have anyone in your tavern, you can do that, visit all your friends and get silver that way. But make sure that you don't have a quest later on that requires you to visit taverns. Because you do want to have spare taverns left for that quest if it comes up. But if you know that you won't have that until the next day, then you're free to visit all your friends in order to gather enough tavern silver. Now, activating boosts. If you need to, or if you have plenty of resources, the best ones are the extra turn and the military boost. This one here, they are very short, so you're able to either activate a new boost or spend Tavern Silver later on. So if you need to spend Tavern Silver, I would use one of these. Yeah. If you're not on the off day, the extra turn one is really nice. You can use it. One of these is usually, or one or two of these is usually enough. This, for example, usually enough to complete the quest, and your tavern will not be locked for long. But if you are low on coins and you need to activate boosts, then it might be better to use the coin boost. So yeah, if you're low on Tavern Silver, use this. Doesn't cost a lot, but you will have to wait longer. So this, yeah, really depends on how much you want to spend or how much you have to spend. But yeah. So yeah, I think that's spending, collecting, and activating boosts. Yep, and then we come on to the productions. We all love those, don't we? Probably the least favorite type of quests. There are quite a lot of them usually. So here, there's not a lot to it. The main thing is planning. Plan ahead. So one great way to complete those production quests is to have blacksmiths. They are really small, really quick to produce or to construct, so very nice to have for purposes like this. And you can easily build or destroy and then later rebuild them again. So those are very nice. Some other nice buildings are things like sleigh builders, sunken treasures, cider mills, terrace farms, and so on. Those are very nice, especially if you need to produce current or complete current age productions. These will count. So what I like to do is that I cancel the production in perhaps 2 or 3 of these, and I do a couple of 5-minute productions in those to complete those current age production quests. So yeah, that's a very nice way to do it. Another nice way to do it depends on your age, but in some ages the production buildings are quite small. So in Space Age Venus, for example, 4x4, relatively small. But there are definitely better ages. So for example, in Virtual Future, this one, for example, 3x3, only requires a single road, is very nice. And then you have the, which one is it? I think there's a 3x3 here, or perhaps not. Anyways, you get the idea. Some ages have very nice buildings. The food printer is relatively nice. The Hatter, there we go, the Hatter is very nice. So some ages have very nice or very small production buildings that you can use. And then again, if you have normal production buildings that you use to produce supplies, very easy to complete the current age or previous age ones. So yeah, planning. And then you also might have a couple of supply rushes. These can be quite helpful if you either didn't plan ahead, or if you are on the final day, for example, and simply have to produce or complete some. These are very nice, but if you can avoid using them, I would, so that you have them for later on. You can see that I haven't been too great at managing these. I have quite low stocks, to be honest. So yeah. Then let's move on to solving guild expedition encounters. Yeah, not a lot to this either. When the event is active, you want to wait with doing quests. So here you can see that I haven't started yet. So you want to wait, both so that you're able to complete the quests that require you to do encounters, but also, for example, for collecting units, goods, for example, or supplies, resources. So yeah, I generally wait with the guild expedition when the event is active, wait until I need to do it. So yeah, if you are negotiating, negotiation boost, of course, is a really big help. So yeah, using this really helps. Yeah, in general, fight and negotiate as usual. You should be able to do that. All right. I know I said this video would be long, but I did not expect it to be this long. Anyways, let's continue. Scouting province. This one, this is one of the first tricks I learned, I think. So when it comes to scouting, the way it works, I don't know, quite sure why it works like this, but anyways, here, for example, I have already started scouting this sector here. If I now leave the map, that even if that scout is completed, it will not be registered until I go back to the map. So what you want to do is the day before or a couple of days before the event, you start scouting, you leave the map, you don't enter the map at all until the quest is active, and when the quest is active, then you go to the map. And that way the scout will be registered as completed, and it will count towards the quest. So yeah, this is a very nice way to do it. Of course, if like in my main world, here I have completed all the entire map, all sectors or all provinces. That way, all of those quests are auto-completed, and that's actually really nice in higher ages, or in the highest age, if you have researched all the quest technologies, and if you have done all the provinces, that will auto-complete quite a few quests. That's very nice. Now, when it comes to acquiring sectors or provinces, this is all about planning. You want to either have some provinces already scouted, or you want to leave some, one way to do it is to leave some low age provinces. So for example, here I have completed all, I believe. Yeah, I have, but let's say on the main map, you could, for example, if you don't do recurring quests, you could, for example, leave all of these bonus ones here and use those to do these quests. That will, of course, mess up your recurring quests, so that's up to you. Another way is to leave some optional. I believe this one is optional. Or, I don't know, some of these are optional. You don't have to complete all of these in order to progress. You could leave those and complete those later when you need to for events. Though that will mess up your daily challenges, because if you didn't know, when you activate a daily challenge like this, didn't get it there, but if you don't have any sectors scouted, you will not get any quests here asking you to conquer or acquire sectors or provinces. So if you don't have any, or if you have, if you don't have any sectors scouted, if you have conquered all the ones you have scouted, then you won't get those quests in the daily challenges. But yeah, if you don't care about that, then you can leave some unscouted or untouched after you have scouted them. But yeah, in general, I would do something like this, where I have a couple in the highest map that I haven't done yet, that I'm now saving for these quests. All right, let's move back. Infiltrating sectors, it's the same story here. You want to plan ahead, make sure you have a sectors already scouted. And again, there are multiple ways to leave some provinces untouched. So yeah, you simply have to make sure that you have enough sectors to either infiltrate, acquire, or enough provinces to acquire. Although I will say that I think for all of these actually, you will have alternatives. So you don't necessarily have to do any of these. You could probably do alternatives, but they are usually quite long, for example, 24-hour productions, but you usually do have alternatives. And yeah, for all of these, I quickly mentioned it, but if you have completed all the maps all the way up to Space Age Venus, all of these will autocomplete. That's very nice. So if you are in the highest age, I would recommend that you do all the provinces, conquer all of them. It really, really is nice. All right, 2 more to go. Exchanging items in the antiques dealer. This one is quite simple. Basically 2 ways to go about it. First of all, if you plan ahead, then you can sell your regular stuff. I see I have quite a bit of stuff to sell, so I could plan ahead. I do those, put those on one day, and I'm ready to go. And then I wait with collecting these until the quests ask me to collect. Alternatively, if I didn't plan ahead, or if there are multiple of these on the same day, what you can do is that you go all the way down to the bottom, you sell some cheap stuff. So the boosts, for example, really cheap, and these are not helpful. So simply exchange those on 2 hours, and then you'll be able to collect them in 2 hours, and that way you don't have to wait too long. So yeah, and depending on how many you need, you will use as many as you need. And yeah, because these are very cheap, you don't lose much by not boosting the outcome. So yeah, that's 2 ways to do that. It's all about planning ahead. Alright, the final one, finally, almost 50 minutes. Alright, researching a technology. So here again, kind of 2 options. One, you want to plan ahead. So for me, okay, first of all, let's just go over this. If you have all quests completed, and I do mean all, so you do have to complete all from the previous ages, even the optional ones. If you have completed all of those, that quest will be auto-completed, so that's very nice. But if you haven't done that, if you do leave the optional quests, then, well, there's the answer. When you need to research a technology for a quest, simply find the cheapest optional quest that you have left and use that to complete that quest. Alternatively, if you are on your normal progression, here for example, I have these 2. I don't have the resources at the moment, but What I can do, and I will have enough resources for this, for example, is that I will wait, I will not unlock it until the quest asks me to, and then when the quest is active, I will. I could alternatively do this or this. I have resources for that, although I don't really want to touch the optional ones here. But yeah, here I do have some optional ones. So here, for example, let's see. Yeah, this one very cheap. These ones very cheap. So here you could, if you have these saved up, uh, this will last you for a long time. Here 4 events easily, because usually I don't think recent events really have had many of these quests. The upcoming one will have 1, I believe. So yeah, all of these will last you a long time. You will have a lot of things to do. So either complete all the quests or leave as many optional ones as possible and do those. All right. I think I've gone over the entire list now. Hopefully I didn't skip over too much. But yeah, I do have everything written down here, so you can have a read through it yourself if you want to. If you have any questions, please leave those in the comments. And yeah, if you have any tips yourself, please leave those as well, and I'll be updating this spreadsheet. Feel free to share this spreadsheet with your guildmates, your friends, and share this video if you want with your guildmates, friends, and so on. And yeah, I think I'll leave it there without saying much more. But before I go, I want to thank my Patreons. I would like to thank Homestar, Merrick B, PQ the Goat, Arkler, Sabathiel, Rocco, und Henrik der Erklärbär. Thank you all very much for your support. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you in the future.